At Deutsches Eck in Koblenz, the river Mosel meets the Rhine. Their colors run alongside each other, distinct yet shared in direction. This natural boundary serves as a lens for our current moment. Two distinct civilizational logics are flowing through the same century, sharing the same space without surrendering their identities. We are operating on outdated binary maps. While the West debates freedom versus control, a competitor has begun playing an entirely different game beneath the surface of the board. In the Kutanad backwaters of Kerala, boatmen navigate a boundary the eye cannot easily see. They call it the Halocline, the thin, unstable, and deeply tense layer where freshwater and saltwater meet in the depths, without ever fully mixing. The Halocline is a necessary analytical method. It allows us to read complex systems that no longer fit the traditional Western paradigms we inherited. Our current map is dominated by the hunter archetype. This mindset prizes the immediate kill, fast financial returns, and individual triumph. The farmer archetype operates on a different frequency. This mindset focuses on subterranean irrigation, coordinated industrial structures, and the patient accumulation of momentum for a long-term harvest. The gunpowder paradox, the pattern where the inventor of a technology is out-deployed by the scaler, has flipped again. The West is inventing the algorithms, but China is deploying them at a civilizational scale. Inventing the bottle is a hollow achievement if your competitor is the one building the bottling plant. Global markets are already adjusting to this deployment reality. Last year, Germany posted 251.8 billion euros in trade with China, Berlin's largest trading partner for the 9th year running. This is osmoregulation. Executives manage dual exposure to both civilizational currents because picking a single side under short-term political pressure would be economically fatal. We must now move from our inherited cognitive maps to the actual satellite imagery of global deployment. Theory is being replaced by a cold empirical audit of 13 strategic domains. Western analysts mistook financial abstractions and high stock market valuations for actual productive depth and strategic resilience. We see this audit play out in the contrast between the forest and the field. America's forest produces spectacular, isolated breakthrough specimens. China's field optimizes for widespread, interconnected deployment. Look at the cost ratio for autonomous driving tech. A Waymo sensor suite costs roughly $175,000. BYD's deployed system costs $385. That is a 454-to-1 ratio. In AI, the farmer achieves frontier performance for a $5.6 million training cost. The hunter spends billions for comparable results. Technological superiority without a domestic deployment architecture is a magnificent forest with no harvest to feed its people. The hunter's most severe vulnerability is the 14th domain. Algorithmic polarization has consumed the social cohesion required to mount any coordinated civilizational response. Kerala's boatmen call this ormapukal, memory flowers. These are hyper-vivid surface blems that appear precisely when the underlying root system is rotting to ash. This reframe is the most consequential insight of the audit. Western analysis focuses on the ceiling, who leads at the absolute frontier. The farmer optimizes for the floor, strategic sufficiency across every domain simultaneously. CIMIC's 5-nanometer chip is a failure by the ceiling metric, but an operational triumph by the floor metric of sovereign capability. A ceiling can be cracked from below. A floor cannot be undermined from above. This audit is objective. The farmer faces severe structural blight, demographic freefall, a massive property wealth destruction, and the innovation paradox of authoritarian constraint. When we apply these structural penalties to the farmer's deployment advantage and add the hunter's institutional antibodies, like its court system and immigrant talent pipeline, we arrive at a vulnerability-adjusted score. Farmer, 14. Hunter, 15. This 1-point margin reveals a contingent future. The outcome depends entirely on structural choices the West has yet to make. Survival requires mativekal, the turning of the bow. The vessel remains intact, but the direction changes. This means activating the hunter's latent antibodies, redirecting $300 billion in annual R&D away from digital extraction and towards physical civilizational deployment. Everything is in flow. The most productive vantage point is the boundary layer, the Halocline, where we must read both currents simultaneously without surrendering to either illusion. The defining challenge of the AI century is what we build in place of the old world. A strategist who knows when to sprint and when to sow will be the one who arrives alive.